Hello and welcome to the Retreadcast. This is now episode 44, and it's also our very first episode of the year for 2025. So, a very belated Happy New Year. Today's episode of the Retreadcast is an interview with Janne Ruhanen, who is the sales director at Nokian for truck and bus tyres and retreading materials, as we look back on Nokian's 50-year history in the tyre retreading industry. Also, we have a small segment on the Recircle Awards as the voting period starts to enter its final stages. In the meantime, let's start with our interview with Janne Ruhanen from Nokian.
For this edition of the Retreadcast, we're going over to Finland to talk to Nokian Tyres, a company we haven't spoken to for a while. This year is the 50th anniversary of the Noktop brand of retreading materials, so we're very pleased to be able to interview Janne Ruhanen, who is Sales Director at Nokian for TBR tyres and retreading materials. Good afternoon, Janne, and welcome to the Retreadcast.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the invitation.
Not at all. So, firstly, let me begin by congratulating you on the 50th anniversary of the Noktop brand. Could you please give us a brief outline of how the Nokian brand was conceived, how it's developed over the years, and where you believe the brand now stands within the retreading sector?
Of course, and thank you for the wishes. The history of Nokian goes back to 1898, when Suomen Gummitehdas, meaning Finnish rubber factory, was established. And later the name was changed to Nokian Tyres, because the factory was and still is based in the city of Nokia. And on 1934, the first winter tire was invented in Nokian Tyres, and 1936, the first tire branded as a Hakkapeliitta was launched.
Yeah.
So we have a long history of developing tires, and the brand Hakkapeliitta is still used in our tire and tread names. And the retreading treads we launched 1975. And during that time, cold retreading was becoming more and more common and more popular, and Nokian Tyres decided to have their own treads. And quite soon after launching the treads, somewhere in the early 80s, the treads were branded as a Noktop. The name was coined as a result of our internal name competition. And since then, the treads has been a really important part of Nokian Tyres' product portfolio. And just like the company, Noktop also has developed a lot. So we have had naturally new products, new machinery, and so on. And I think that it's also a really great advantage that we have new truck tires in our product portfolio. So the development with new tires and treads go hand in hand. And I think that our brand stands firmly in premium tread segment. All our treads are developed and made here in Finland, where we have a top-class R&D center, test tracks, and so on. And even though our history and reputation is quite strongly based on winter tires and winter treads, we have also become a good and relevant player in other applications also.
Okay, excellent. So you've touched on this next question slightly in what you just said, but perhaps you can tell me what you believe the key strengths of the Noktop brand are in terms of product sectors, and what are your latest developments in those sectors in terms of innovation?
Yeah, as mentioned, of course, we are extremely strong with the winter tires and treads because of our Nordic heritage. But we have also a lot of products to all main applications, not only to winter, but for example, all kind of transport of goods, bus and city bus use, and on and off use. And we also have treads for heavy machinery use, like for wheel loaders, for example.
Yeah.
And just to give a few examples of our innovations, one of our latest innovations is Hakkapeliitta Truck E2 drive treads, and they are developed for extreme winter conditions. So we have developed a totally new type of siping called PEG siping, which allows dense and deep siping, improving grip, and also to keep the grip on excellent level on when the tire is worn out. And also we have I have a good example of our new Hakka truck trailer treads. So these tires and treads were developed together with end users with extremely challenging conditions, meaning, for example, liquid transportations where the center of gravity is really high and the liquids are moving all the time. And there was a lot of challenges with their shape, especially on the shoulder area. So we were able to develop a tread that is sturdy and stable has a low rolling resistance and still an excellent grip. But maybe the biggest innovation was again the siping. So there is this unique interlocking sipes on triple claw shaped blocks, and that keeps the properties really good level even as the tire wears. And maybe a good third example could be our Noktop loader. So it is designed modularly. So we have a different width of threads like always, but the threads are designed so that we have, for example, widest thread you can use on 20.5 or 25 size tires. But then we have narrower threads and you can place them next to each other and cover other tire size. Like for example, size 23.5 or 25, you can use two different width threads, put them side by side, and then you get like a full tire made of them.
Before we head back to that interview with Janne, we have a short Recircle Awards update for those of you that missed the final nomination ceremony. The Recircle Awards is entering the final stretch of the voting period, which ends on March the 14th at 11:59 Greenwich Mean Time, and the following awards categories are open to public vote. Best Company Director, Business Breakthrough Award, Best Tyre Recycling Innovation, Best Retreading Industry Innovation, Best Tyre Recycling Industry Supplier, Best Retreading Equipment Supplier, Best Tread Rubber Supplier, Best Retreading Accessory and Consumable Supplier, Circular Economy Award, Employee of the Year, Retreader of the Year, Spirit of Retreading Award, Tyre Recycler of the Year Award, Women's Award for the Tyre Recycling Sector, and finally, the Women's Award for the Tyre Retreading Sector. Now, remember that you can only vote for one candidate per category and you need to register to be eligible to vote. All of this can be done by the Recircle Awards website and by clicking on the category tab at the top of the page. You may have noticed also that in our final nomination ceremony, we announced 5 further categories that are not open to the public vote, with the winner being decided by the nominations committee. The winner will be decided in exactly the same way that we decide the winners of our Lifetime Achievement Awards. So these 5 additional categories that we announced in our final nomination ceremony were as follows. The Industry Achievement Award for the Tyre Recycling Sector, Tyre Education Award, Spirit of Tyre Recycling Award, Spirit of Tread Manufacturing Award, and finally the Tyre Pyrolysis Award. You can find out more about the nominees in all these categories on the appropriate category page by once again clicking on the Categories tab at the top of the Recircle Awards website. So, with only 2 weeks to go in the voting process, we are encouraging everyone in the retreading and recycling industries to participate and lodge their vote for their favourite candidates. Now, that's all for our Recircle Awards segment. Let's return to our interview with Janne Ruhanen.
Okay, so let's go on to talk about the brand. So the Noktop brand is a leading tread rubber brand in Scandinavia, has been for many, many years. So how do you anticipate the Nokian network developing in the future?
Well, in Scandinavia and in Nordics, Vianor is a tire and car service network fully owned by Nokian Tyres. And Vianor is at the moment operating in Nordics, Finland, Sweden, Norway, and is a market leader there.
Yeah.
So I think that is like, we cover Scandinavia quite well with that, but naturally we have extremely good cooperation with other tire dealers and chains in Nordics also. So we are not operating only with Vianor. And outside Nordics, we work a bit differently. So we have built and continue building a good partnership with tire dealers, tire chains, tire wholesalers. So our way to work is to be close to our customers and the end users and ensure a good and long relationships with them. And with Retreading, we have customers, we have partners all over to Europe, but of course we are not presented in all market areas yet. So there is still some work to do.
Yeah, sure. So, well, what would you say are the key challenges for retreaders in Scandinavia at the moment? The Scandinavian market's quite different for the retreading sector than other parts of Europe and indeed the world. So what are the key challenges in your opinion?
Yeah. First of all, I think that the Nordic retreaders have made their homework. So I really honestly think that the quality of retreading is excellent in Nordics.
Yeah.
So everyone here is making excellent job, and that is good for the whole retreading business, and the market is positive towards it. So that is like it's not a challenge, it's really like a good opportunity. But when talking about Nordic markets, there is a long history in retreading, and retreading has and will have a strong position. But the challenge is, like pretty much in every market, the budget tires. But I think that highlighting the quality and also highlighting the environmental issues, the retreading industry here in Scandinavia, in Nordics, overall all over to Europe can fight against budget tires with highlighting those good aspects. And of course, when talking about Noktop, when a customer chooses Noktop, they choose local retreader, they choose local threads, which are designed for Nordic conditions and have the same latest features as the new tires. So they are totally worth of the money, and I think that those challenges with the budget tires, we can fight against those kind of good things we have.
Excellent. Well, that's really good to hear a positive story all about retreading and the opportunities in retreading. So when I first developed retreading business many years ago, Nokian was a pioneering Western player in the Russian retreading market. So how would you say Nokian's withdrawal from the Russian market, how's that affected the Noktop brand overall? And can you see a day at some point in the future, if and when the political situation is different, when Nokian might want to re-enter that market?
Yeah, Russia was a relatively big market for Noktop, and also the brand was strong there. But anyway, those times are now gone, and we don't want to speculate about the future now.
Fair enough. Okay. You recently announced the development of a carbon footprint calculator. Could you please tell us something about that and the importance of sustainability to Nokian?
Yeah, sustainability is definitely one of our main focus areas, and we have done a lot of work for sustainability issues. And for example, we have now opened a new passenger car tire factory in Romania, making it the world's first full-scale tire factory with zero CO2 emissions. And Nokian Tyres is also listed in Dow Jones Sustainability Index. And last week, we celebrated an AAA rating in Morgan Stanley Capital International's environmental, social, and governance ratings. Just to mention a few examples of our sustainability work. But the Noktop CO2 calculator is a tool for our Noktop customers, meaning the retreaders, and their customers, meaning end users. So we made a study and developed this tool based on this study with a company which is leading expert company in climate responsibility and, for example, calculation of green gas emissions. So the calculator is basically a tool where the retreader inputs some of their data, like the transportation distance for casings, threads, and other materials, and of course the end product. And then there is naturally some fixed values, for example, Noktop threads, CO2 footprint. And after the retreader has input those figures in, the calculator shows the CO2 footprint of this retreaded tire. So this way the end user can see the CO2 emissions of the tires, but also compare it to the new tires and see the savings in CO2 emissions. So both the end user and the retreader can state good reason to use those retreads instead of new tires.
Okay, so finally, how do you see the future of pre-cured retreading in the truck and specialist off-road sectors? Where are the opportunities and where are the threats?
Well, I think that the future is quite bright if the whole industry keeps working to raise the awareness of retreads. So I truly believe that retreading makes sense, both economically and environmentally. I think that the threats are, of course, the increased amount of the budget tires, but in my opinion, man should not compare the retreads to budget tires, but even though the price level might be close, but the quality threads and casings can perform so much better that I've always said that the retreading with quality compounds should be compared with the premium tires and you can get the premium properties with budget price. Maybe one of the threats can be the casing availability. If there is less and less good quality casings to be retreaded, the price can increase, and also the poor availability of premium casings can lead to quality issues if bad quality casings are used. But overall, as I said, I think the future can be bright. The environmental issues are more and more important, and the ongoing development work in the whole retreading industry pays off with less claims and better reputations. So I think that my message to the whole industry is that we should be proud what we are doing and raise up the awareness of retreading and also all the positive impacts of it.
Absolutely. Well, I think we can both agree on that. So, look, thanks very much for your time today, Janne. It's been great to be able to get an update on Nokian's activities, and we hope to be able to welcome you back on the Retreadcast again soon. In the meantime, congratulations once again on this important anniversary for the Nokian brand.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to be here.